Geordies, welcome back to the channel and another scout report. And I woke up this morning to an article saying that Newcastle United were going to raid the relegation side. There was mentions of Tyler Diblin, Aaron Ramsdale, Kyler Walker-Peters, but there was one player that wasn't mentioned that I feel would be perfect for a Newcastle United system. And that player who we're going to be looking at today, looking at his strengths, weaknesses, and then comparing them to every single player in our midfield, and that is Mateus Fernandes. I first came across Mateus Fernandes in March 2023 when I watched him live in the UEFA Youth League. He absolutely blew my mind because he was outstanding for sport. But I wanted to make sure I watched Sporting's Academy because who wouldn't want to watch our academy? It's blessed with talented footballers. So when you watch young footballers just absolutely thrive with talent, I think of Matheus Fernandes, and he was so good. I had to tweet about him saying, I'm still thinking about how good he was yesterday. He literally dominated the midfield, just bossed the entire game. And ever since then, I've followed his career when he went out on loan and at Southampton. And I just feel this guy can bring something to our midfield. So we're going to look at exactly why. So Fernandes is a youth product of Sporting's Academy, as I've just mentioned. He signed his first professional contract till 2027 with a release clause of 60 million. He transferred to Southampton for less than that, but I'm very surprised Sporting let him go. He went on loan, had an amazing season at Estoril in the top division of the Portuguese league, and then that's why Southampton bought him. He joined Southampton on a 5-year contract, but unfortunately, relegation followed. We all know Southampton have been absolutely piss poor in the Premier League this season, but they have had a few bright lights. Tyler Diblin's been a shining light for them, but also Mateus Fernandes. So when you come up in the Premier League to perform in an underperforming team, be as good as he's been, shows the potential in Mateus Fernandes. Now, when I say he's been impressive, he's been impressive. So I've compared him to the rest of the Southampton teammates. And if you look at these statistics, it's quite fascinating. For XG, so expected assists, he sits first. Key passes, first. Passes in the penalty area, second. Progressive passes, second. Shot creating actions, first. Goal creating actions, second. Progressive carries, second. Successful take on, second. Would just highlight his vision off on the ball, but his technical ability in possession as well. And then defensively, he's no slouch either. He ranks first for tackles attempted, first for tackles won, and one crucial part, and I think why would be a success in the Eddie Howe system, is tackles won in the final third. He ranks 15 tackles this season won in the final third. Eddie Howe wants to win the ball back as high up the pitch as possible because that gives you best opportunity of creating better scoring opportunities. So with his ability to win back possession high up the pitch, it would be perfect for Newcastle United because we play with energy, we press high, we play with intensity, and that's exactly what you get with Mateus Fernandes. And then he ranks first for combined for tackles and interceptions out of the whole Southampton team. So when you're scouting the players, obviously the eye test is what you go off, but you do incorporate some data statistics. And these data statistics for his first season in the Premier League is off the scale. So let's look at some of his strengths that I've found. Well, he's an all-action midfielder, technically gifted, and he's a compelling blend of energy and finesse across the pitch. Combination of technical skills and bravery. His style of play is marked by exceptional dribbling prowess, showcasing the willingness to take on opponents and a valuable skill in unbalancing defenses. He shines with a competitive edge in duels, showcasing a combative spirit vital in the heart of any midfield. One of my favorite things about Mateus Fernandes, he might not be the most trickiest of players in possession in terms of step overs, drag backs, but he's so silky with his close control. He's got an arrogant robustness, which I love under pressure. He's so good at just moving and maneuvering in tight spaces, impressive long strides in open spaces that allows him to glide away from opponents, making him an exceptional ball carrier. His versatility, his well-rounded attributes would make him a strong asset to Newcastle United's midfield, who can cover for almost any of our midfielders. He's got an excellent off-ball work rate, which we know Eddie Howe wants in his midfielders, and he ranks really highly for ball recoveries per 90, something, again, Newcastle United and Eddie Howe are renowned for this season. He's capable of covering ground with real intensity, he's dominant in duels, and he's very good in advanced areas or against deeper blocks. So what he would bring over Joelinton, for example, is that technical ability. He's got the ability to win back possession, but he's also got that technical ability and vision to break down low blocks. So we are going to look at it even further. So I wanted to compare his heat map this season to Bruno, Tonali and Joelinton. And as you can see, he's very similar to Tonali and Bruno. In fact, Tonali and Bruno are quite similar, where they just cover a large proportion of the pitch. And then it's Joelinton that hogs that left-hand side, that protects the left back and the left winger. But if you look at Tonali and Bruno, I think Matheus Fernandes would be perfect just to be an understudy of those two. If you can learn from those two, it's absolutely ideal. He would bring that creativity in that final third that Bruno brings, but he also brings that intensity off the ball that Tonali brings. Now, I'm not saying he's a finished article, because he's definitely not. So there's many weaknesses and cons that come with all footballers. Lack of experience at senior level. He's only had one Premier League season. Maybe a season in the Championship might do him the world of good, but I actually want him in Newcastle United, to be honest. Being so young, his all-round game needs a little bit of refinement, and I say this about pretty much every single young footballer. Decision-making, positional awareness, all needs to improve. Improving his communication, coordination, and positioning and decision-making will just elevate him to another level. The lack of aerial presence would be a concern. He doesn't engage or win many aerial duels. Finally, his productivity in the final third. He's got the vision, and you can see there's elements there where he's got that creativity and that little bit of artistry to break down low blocks. But again, over-hitting passes or under-hitting passes in crucial moments let him down. And then he needs, for an attack midfielder, which is where he's played the majority of his games at Southampton, he needs to get into better shot locations, which will just make him more efficient in the final third. Final third pass selection must improve. I do like it how he likes to take risks in possession, but sometimes he attempts the impossible, leading to unnecessary turnover. When you look at his profile and his game in general, he's got a lot of elements and qualities that Eddie Howe would love to work with. And he has got a defensive nous, but also an attacking nous. Now, this image here can show you exactly what he can bring. And as you can see, he's comfortable playing as a central midfielder, like a Tonali role, but he's also comfortable playing an attacking midfield like a Bruno role. When you look at the graph, when it comes to chance creation, dribbles attempted, touches, defensive actions, possession won, he all stands out. Where he lacks is aerial duels, touches in the penalty area, goals and shots, in my opinion, because if he gets into better shot locations, that'll just make his goals and end product so much better. By the way, did anyone else know that Joelinton's second name is Cassio? So let's compare him to Bruno, Joelinton and Snadro Tonali, and this is all in the Premier League. And as you can see, they've played pretty much the same amount of games, so it's quite accurate, the data to pull from. But you've got to remember, Southampton 9 times out of 10 get absolutely battered in the Premier League, so he's up against it as it is. So when it comes to touches and things like that, he's probably going to have less touches than what Bruno, Tonali or Joelinton would. Now, what stands out to me are the numbers, and what I really like about him is he gets on the ball a lot more than somebody like Joelinton. So he's got a better pass accuracy, he completes more passes in the 90, and he creates more chances. He has more through passes. It's absolutely ideal for Newcastle United because they want to play forward, they want to play with intensity, and he can actually create. Now, another statistics that stands out to me is long pass accuracy. He's averaging 64.71. And I think that's absolutely crucial in a team like Newcastle United because they want to get from A to B with as limited passes as possible because we really want to counter-attack, and that's one of our biggest styles. And in fact, I actually came across the statistics. And out of Europe's top 5 leagues, Newcastle United ranked 4th for sprints off the ball while in possession. So that tells me that we have a lot of movers. We want to sprint forward and move into space as quickly as possible. So if you've got somebody that's very good with their long passing and vision from all areas of the pitch, that's just going to elevate us to get into better positions a lot quicker and more effectively. And when it comes to successful take-ons in defensive actions, as you can see, his numbers are very, very similar to Bruno's. Tackles made, he's averaging 2.9, Bruno's 2.2. Take-ons completed, he's averaging 1.5, Bruno 1.1. Then when it comes to ground duels contested, he's averaging 11.3, Bruno's averaging 11.8. Ground duels won, he's averaging 6.2, Bruno's averaging 6.3. When it comes to duels won in general, he's averaging 6.6, Bruno's averaging 6.9. When it comes to touches, he's averaging 59.8, Bruno 66.9. So it's very, very similar in terms of what Bruno brings to our team he's bringing to Southampton. But one of my favourite things about Matheus Fernandes is how well-rounded he is. When it comes to ball appreciation and working in tight spaces, he's excellent. When it comes to vision and distributing the ball, he's excellent. And then one of my favourite things about him, and I think this is why Eddie Howe would love a player like him, is his work rate off the ball. He's intense, he's aggressive, he doesn't mind dueling. That's not somebody that you would expect from a sporting academy. So he's very different to what normally comes out of their academy. He's aggressive, he loves to duels, and he wins back possession quite often. In fact, I've got a chart graph to show you as well. So this is how he compares to the three. And you've got to remember, he's playing in an underperforming team. So I'm sure if you picked him up, took him out with Southampton and dropped him in Newcastle United's environment where there's better players, more consistent style of play, and just more consistency and ability to win games of football, his statistics would greatly improve. But as you can see, his defensive actions are very, very similar to ours. He's actually a better ball carrier than all of our players, but I kind of feel like we don't really dwell on the ball. We move the ball quickly rather than try and progress the ball through carrying up the pitch. We play the ball through passing up the pitch, if that makes sense. So when it comes to progressive passes, key passes, Bruno absolutely stands out because he's tasked with that responsibility. But I'm sure if you put Matheus Fernandes in our system, playing and learning under Bruno or Tonali, because I think he can cover both positions, then his statistics would be far greater than what they are at Southampton's. So his market value is about 15 million. Southampton bought him for 15 million euros. So I actually think something like 25 to 30 million, maybe 35 million would get him. But I actually think additional to that, that Southampton would accept payments in installments. And that's quite crucial with PSR. So the less you spend upfront, the better it is, because you can manage the payments over a few different financing over the couple of years, if that makes sense. But enough about me. I bet you're sick of hearing me speak. I want to hear you guys. Would you welcome somebody like Matheus Fernandes? Or again, are you looking for somebody with a bit more experience, a bit more physicality maybe? Because he's not like a Joelinton. He's more, his body shape is more like a Bruno, if that makes sense. So let me know in the comments below how you feel about Matheus Fernandes coming to Newcastle United if it was to happen, because I think these are the types of players we should be going for, because we've already got our starting three. So it's about looking for the future, because I think Joelinton's 28 now. Bruno's not getting any younger. Tonali's about 24, so he's going to be here a while. But it's about building for the future. And if we can bring players in now to learn the system, get accustomed to the environment, and being understudied to these players, because we're going to have 4 competitions next season. So there's plenty of game time for these guys. So our midfield 3 at the minute can have some respite and be in tip-top shape for when we do get Champions League football, because I do believe we'll get Champions League football. But if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you let me know your thoughts in the below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on your way out. And until next time, away the lads.